Hey everyone. So today I want to talk about something that is pretty personal, I guess, in a way, but is something that happens to us all. And this is when our minds, because of whatever's going on, just go blank on us. Now, I was thinking about an idea for a video. I was thinking, what would be really helpful to everybody today to hear? What would be really good and important for everybody? And I was resting, meditating, thinking, and there was nothing in there. Nothing coming to mind. Like, people talk about writer's block. They talk about this kind of thing. And what's interesting is, for most of us, this can be a moment of panic or dread or feeling overwhelmed. We're all so busy nowadays that there are many times where our minds just go fully blank, where things are too overwhelming. And sometimes that kind of unaccessible mind, where you can't really access anything, or you're trying to access the thing that you really need. Someone says, well, what's the answer? You give me the answer. And you look inside your mind and the answer's not there, and it feels like you're trying to grab anything that you can find. This happens to us a lot, especially when we're burnt out, especially when we're overwhelmed, especially when we have too many things to do. We can get into this position of so inundated with our own story, our own thoughts, our own life, our own to-do list, that our minds kind of shut down. Or if they don't shut down, it just feels like we're fighting against it. It's like I just am trying to pull, something out of there, and it's just not coming. It's just not coming. So this is a very interesting one, and the reason I said it was personal is because for me, this was something that has happened to me my whole life, and I have always been very frustrated by it. When I was younger, when I was in grade school, I used to do some, I think, math problems or something like that, and it would take me, twice the time as the other kids. A lot of that was supposedly because I was taking too long of time, whatever. Other times my teacher said I was daydreaming and things like that. I'm not exactly sure why. I never had a diagnosed learning disability, but maybe I had one, some latent learning disability that could have been. But I was pretty sometimes overwhelmed by things. Overwhelmed by a lot of the social situations with other people. And again, this is personal, right? For you might find that doesn't relate at all. that you don't feel like math is hard, and you don't feel like social situations are confusing. You're like, this is all easy peasy, but still, because of the amount of information that we're digesting every day, the amount of problems and tasks that we have going on, you still might find that there are times where it seems like I'm trying to do it, whatever it is, and it's just not going the way I'm used to it going. what to do then? What to do then? So this can create a lot of frustration. Obviously, this can cause some also self-doubt, self-hatred even. I mean, we can go really deep into it. And then kind of collapse upon ourselves, think that this is just the way things are now, and I have no capacity to change. I must just be, I mean, we could use a bunch of bad names for this. I must just be stupid, right? I must just be unable to do things, and for a lot of us, and also in the world, it can be a little bit extreme to think in this way, and also really not helpful, because all of us, including those who do have disabilities, with learning or challenges in other developmental ways, you are 100% valuable as who you are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. But we don't live in a society that we feel thinks that way. And a lot of the times we've encountered people that don't think that way, that tell us that we need to, complete things in the way that they complete them. And we look at, there's stories all across the world of, different people that, they didn't do very good in school, but they still had a perfectly wonderful life. I mean, some of the greatest artists, some of the greatest, whatever. But again, even me saying the greatest whatever, you still get into this mode of what greatness is. And we do a lot of self-judgment, and we do a lot of judgment of others, and I don't think any of that is helpful, especially not in this conversation. So we've all been there sometimes, to have basically nothing going on in our minds. And actually, right now, a close family member of mine is going through some dementia, some memory loss. And the way that she describes it is that there's nothing up there. There's nothing up there. And what's really interesting about this is that, having studied Eastern spiritual traditions and meditation, what you'll find is a lot of the goals are very similar to having nothing up there. And the objective that you do all of these practices for, that you can't even do all the practices for because it's just too much, is to have nothing up there in the mind, to have it be blank. What's interesting is that part of the blank mind that the meditators have, that they're, have all sorts of organic abilities, very natural ways of being with people, very compassionate. Supposedly they have blank minds too. So what's the difference between all these blank minds? Is there a difference? And what I would say is probably not. But the big difference, while the blank minds have no difference, the big difference is whether or not we think there's a difference. Whether or not we think it's wrong. We say all sorts of things are wrong. And when we look inside our minds and we say, ooh, there's nothing in there. I must be wrong. I must not be correct, or I must not be inspired. What was interesting is the Eastern, and actually Western too, mystical traditions ask us, is that not where inspiration comes from? Is inspiration not accessible directly through an undistracted, open mind? Is that not the exact same thing as the seemingly empty, blank mind that we have when we're overwhelmed? So I'm not saying that we're all going to be after this. Oh, every time I had the blank mind, I reached perfect enlightenment. There's something like that, or I was one with some sort of divinity. I think that could be all sorts of dangerous, and we could get fixated to the blank mind and stuff. So that's definitely not what I'm proposing. But what I am proposing is that the times in our lives when we feel confused, out of sorts, uninspired, and we feel that that's wrong. We feel that we don't know anything, that we're just encumbered by too many things, and so we've just lost thread. We've lost the thread of this life. That in those moments, when we look and we see the blank mind, if you will, we remember, oh, that just means I should relax. Because when we relax, that gives us space. It gives us time. Eventually, something bubbles up. Now, it might not be what we want, but if we relax, then it's most likely going to be something that's helpful, rather than something that's being grabbed out of there's all of these like old metaphors that come to mind, like pulling blood from a stone or something. I don't even know what that means, but it's not like that where you're trying to pull something out of something that can't give it to you, right? So if you're being inundated at work or inundated in your life, and all of a sudden things just are too much, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's no inspiration. I don't know what to do. I don't know. That's great. That's exactly where you should be. I don't know either. Frankly, I had no idea what this video was going to be about at all. Had no idea what I was going to talk to you about. Had no idea how it was going to be helpful to you. But out of that I did not know, out of that came this. Out of that comes your next moment. Out of that comes your next journey, your next life, the next part of your life. And the only thing that says that's wrong, it says it's wrong to feel this way, is us. We're the ones. And sure, we've been taught that for our whole lives. But in the end, the only one that's continuing that is us. And we don't have to. Not if we don't want to. So my proposal is try it out. Just see what happens. If you get overwhelmed a lot, see it. Look right at it. And just rest. Be patient. Don't respond to the other stuff until something inspiring comes. We might have a lot of thoughts that are just totally not useful, maybe. Ideas that don't work. Yeah, you don't have to grab those. You can wait. It's okay. Even if people are saying, well, I need an answer. Gosh darn it, or whatever it is. I need that answer. Rest. It's them who's having the problem. If you're resting, the answer will eventually come. The moment will pass. Your life will move on. Everything will be okay. So try it out. See what happens. Till next time. Be well.